Let's talk about it. Yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah, let's talk about it. See, you don't need to worry. We gon' learn and talk it out. See, you don't need to worry. We gon' head and on the eye. Let's talk about it. Yeah, let's talk about it. See, I don't want you to miss a day. Let's talk about it.
You are now tuned into Let's Talk About It with Mr. and Mrs. Vito on Reconcilers Radio in conjunction with OFNC 18 to 30.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Let's Talk About It on
Reconcilers Radio in conjunction with OFNC 18 to 30.
Yes, indeed, we are in the building. It is your boy, Mr. Vito, and
Mrs. Vito.
All right, and we are ready to go. Yes, tonight is a very exciting show. As per usual, you guys know we don't hold back for nobody, and we are ready to do the thing tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so we'll make a shout out to all of you who have just tuned in. We're starting a little bit later than usual, but it is all with the view that we can give you the best show. And very happy to be here. Mrs. Vito, how are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm so happy because spring is upon us.
Yes.
And the sun being like, I didn't realize how great it felt
Yeah.
having the sun rays
To
kind
just
of
touch your body. Even
you
just
know,
a little bit.
even though it's very cold,
Yeah.
as soon as the sun hits your body, you're like, oh my days,
Yeah.
I feel so good. I
Yeah.
feel warm.
Yeah.
You actually feel happier.
I mean, you can understand why people travel for it, don't you?
No, seriously.
Yeah.
And especially living in London, living
Mhm.
in the UK where we barely get any sun,
Mm-hmm.
it just feels great.
Yeah.
I'm already telling myself in advance, I don't care how hot it gets for the summertime, I will not complain.
It's true. It's true. We
I
actually
will
can't
not
afford to,
complain.
Because it is true. Once the sun comes out, you're like,
Yeah, it's hot.
and then as soon as you get acclimatized to the fact that the sun is out, you start going, it's too hot.
It's
man.
too, I can't
get
breathe.
that,
I'm sweating.
And before you know it, you're already talking the sun away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like, well, wait, but you was complaining earlier that it's drizzy and drowsy.
Right.
You know, so we need to like wake up and
Yeah.
appreciate what we have whilst we still have it.
Oh, definitely.
And even as you said that, you know, I got this weird analogy about how relationships work. You know, before we get the relationship, we're like, oh my days, when
I just want a boyfriend.
I can't just wait until
I
the
want a
day
husband. I want a wife.
As soon as the person comes, you start going, bruh.
Like,
See ya.
that was all right, single, you know. I didn't mind being single actually.
Yes, it is true.
But you're cool.
And it's like, what is all this about?
Mm-hmm.
So listen, without further ado, we got some interesting things going on tonight. And you guys are more than welcome to join us and relax with us. So when the time comes, you will literally be able to join us. You can by hitting us up on Facebook or on Facebook, and that's Let's Talk About It. And you can also hit us up on Twitter at LTAI Radio Show. You can also hit us up on 07447 682247. And you're more than welcome to join us. That's 07447 682247. So see you guys on the other side. Let's talk about it.
It's reconcilers. It's reconcilers. It's reconcilers. It's reconcilers. It's reconcilers. Reconcilers Scripture Forum. For those who want to know and for those who want to grow.
Join us on Fridays, 7 till 9:30 p.m. Venue, All Saints Community Centre, 105 New Cross Road. New Cross, London, SE14 5DJ.
Telephone number 0207 639 3337. Reconcilers@yahoo.co.uk.
Is ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Let's Talk About It on Reconcilers Radio
In conjunction with OFNC 18 to 30.
Oh, Mrs. Vito, I'm loving the attitude with which you are delivering your lines. Yes.
Oh, was there attitude?
Oh, yes, honey. Yes, there was. Plenty of attitude. Okay, so guess what? We actually have a great show for you tonight. And we're going to be talking about a whole lot of things. But before we actually do that, I feel like we need to just, literally go in on a question that was asked by one of our listeners that we didn't get a chance to ask on the show.
Yeah, so basically last week, if you were not listening last week, we were looking at whether or not, basically, if a girl earns more than a guy, is it a problem for the guy? How does he feel? What's his first reaction and why? Obviously, you want to be happy for your wife, your spouse. Does it really matter? But if we're being realistic, there are some guys who will have a certain feeling, maybe a bit negative.
Yes.
Not that they're not genuinely happy for their spouse, but that they may reflect on themselves like, oh wow, I'm not really getting the most in the household. And sometimes the increase in money can be connected to an increase in power, and also how some people who have the increase in money, male or female, can then show their real sides. So we were just talking about that. And
it was a big issue, and
it was.
And to be fair, I always feel like one show is never enough to address certain issues.
It isn't
especially if you want to be able to do something that's lasting and that really helps people. So because for every 2 hours that we spend on air, many people are consuming a lot of other types of perhaps even negative imagery that doesn't support their growing self, if you understand where I'm coming from. So 2 hours is a mere drop in the ocean when it comes to the amount of influence that comes on people's lives to make them think a certain way. So we are honored to be here, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask the question first, and then we can see. So
sorry, before you ask the question, there was a key thing that you mentioned last week, which was that are we mainly to the guys, are you competing or collaborating with your spouse, with your babe, with your girl, with your wife? And I just thought that was something poignant to remember.
Absolutely.
Are you competing or collaborating?
That is right. That's actually right. In fact, when that thought process came up, it did trigger in me like some serious questioning, even for me to question myself. To just make sure that I'm on the right track. Am I in competition with my missus on things, and in the process, it opened my eyes to understand that, as a man, there is no guarantee of the state of your mind except when you do self-reflection.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you can't guarantee that you're in the right state of mind until you're checking on what's going on.
Yeah.
Then when you check on yourself, then you realize, oh, okay, maybe I still have work to do on myself.
Yeah.
And so this is a very key discussion, and I think at some point we will need to redo it again. And give it a part 2 of some sort. Yeah. All right. So without delay, Mrs. Vito, I'm going to go straight into this question that was asked. If you have a question that you would like to share with us tonight, or ask, or a comment that you would like to make concerning what you're hearing, you can hit us up on Facebook. Let's talk about it. You can also hit us up on Twitter at LTAI Radio Show. I'll say it one more time, at LTAI Radio Show. And if you would also be interested in calling us or texting us or WhatsApping us, whichever one satisfies your desire, you can on 07447 682247. Yes, indeed, you can. I'll say that one more time, 07447 682247. We are happy to be here, and we hope that you guys have got your tea and your biscuits, because it's about to go down. Yes, it is. All right. So our listener
Yeah.
kindly wrote into us and said, "Hi, I'm a new listener and liking the show. Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much." And the person was saying, "What if you have a girl that wants you to have a Christian foundation, but her foundation is not strong? Is that a case of the blind leading the blind?" Mm, mm, mm.
Hmm.
This is a very serious question. I feel, this is Vito. Yeah, it's such a deep question because they're tackling two elements here. First of all, they're talking about having a Christian foundation.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a process that they've described. So they said, what if a girl wants you to have a Christian foundation?
Yeah.
Which is not bad in itself.
Yeah.
And it says, but her foundation is not strong.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's like, okay, well, sometimes whether somebody is strong or weak in the faith, that's neither here nor there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But what's deep here is that a case of the blind leading the blind? Hold on. Technically speaking, men are supposed to take the lead and the right initiative when it comes to relationships.
Right.
So you take the lead in spiritual affairs, you take the lead in governing the household.
Mm-hmm.
So if you start out your spiritual relationship with your wife and your wife is the one teaching you everything,
Mm-hmm.
and you haven't had to do any learning, you haven't had to do any studying, you're not going to feel right about the situation.
Yeah.
You won't really be comfortable. It's not all men that can deal with it. If a man can't deal with how much money his wife has,
True.
why would he be able to deal with his wife telling him what to do concerning his faith?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that a woman cannot advise a man. In fact, I'm all for a woman giving advice to a man. I'd like to believe that Mrs. Vito, when you advise me, I seem quite receptive, at least in the beginning.
It depends what I'm advising
Yeah,
about,
it depends,
but yeah.
yes. But I give credit to your opinion,
Yes,
and
yeah.
your thoughts and whatever
Yeah.
God may be revealing to you.
Mm-hmm.
But here's my thing: if the lady, and I said last week, I did say it, if the lady has to be teaching the man
Mm-hmm.
what to do, then she's no longer his lady, but that's his mom.
Yeah.
And so whenever as a wife you take on the motherly role and you stay in that motherly role,
Mm-hmm.
you've already put yourself in a very difficult position,
Mm-hmm.
because now the man when your mom, you know your mom is gonna do it,
Mm-hmm.
or is gonna
Yeah,
teach
you
tend
become a
to
bit
be
lazy.
apathetic, you get lazy, and then
Mhm.
you go, I don't have to do it because I know someone else is gonna pick up my slack.
Yeah.
So if you're, as a woman, telling your man, you have to pray for us, you have to do this for us, you have to do this for us, and he's not taking the lead and the initiative in that situation, what happens is eventually he'll go, well, I don't need to pray because she's praying anyway.
Yeah.
Which then creates a bad spiritual dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the scriptures say, if your wife is not happy, right, it's likely that your prayers will not be answered. It
Right.
is very simple. So, and a woman who has to play mum all the time is not going to feel like a wife anymore.
No, it's not fun.
Which means that over time she'll begin to resent him.
Oh, definitely.
And that resentment will then hinder the answered prayers.
Mm.
So what you're trying not to do in life is to get into a situation where the blind are leading the blind.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It shouldn't be the case.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be the case. As the man, you should, your future wife or this person may be interested in your faith, which you should appreciate, and perhaps go on the journey of finding out for yourself. This doesn't mean you don't pay attention to her advice,
Right.
but it means you don't lean on her thought processes as the be-all and the end-all of what you need to know about your own faith.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah. And yeah, even vice versa. I wouldn't expect that a woman would just go, it's only whatever my husband says. But she should be working on her faith before I get there, working on her faith whilst I'm there.
With fear and trembling.
With fear and trembling. You work out your own faith with that fear and trembling. I can't be fearful and trembling for you.
Exactly.
Or on your behalf.
Yeah.
We all have to fear and tremble on our own.
Yeah. I don't feel conviction for you.
No, exactly.
So,
exactly.
You have to have your own relationship.
Exactly. And then from discovering that you'll understand that maybe getting into a relationship whilst your faith is not strong and whilst the faith of the other person isn't strong is not a good idea.
Precisely,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
So
I
there
yeah.
wouldn't need to be an emphasis on starting something right now.
Exactly. Perhaps it might even be, we go to church together.
Do you know what they should be starting?
Uh-huh.
Fellowshipping
Oh, come on now,
together.
somebody,
Not
Jesus.
relationshiping,
Yes.
not romanticizing, not
Romantic shipping.
romantic shipping, not situation shipping,
Yeah.
but fellowshipping.
Yes,
I think
indeed.
that's the first point, isn't it?
Mhm.
Really and truthfully, helping each other to grow stronger in Christ.
Yeah.
And then from that fellowship, you can see whether or not you're even compatible as people.
Exactly.
And where you stand with, what you believe.
Right, exactly. So I hope we've kind of treated it. And if you feel like, oh, I want to say something, you can call us up, and
Yep.
And in the process, you can hit us up on Facebook. Let's talk about it. You can hit us up on what's this thing called? Twitter. Yes, you can hit us up on Twitter at LTAI Radio Show. I'll say that one more time, at LTAI Radio Show. You can also call us up on 07-447-682247. I'll say it one more time. 07-447-682247. We are looking forward to hearing from you guys. Now, Mrs. Vito, we have a special guest on the show, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Yes. All right. But before we do that, we're going to bring them in because I'm sure they are itching to say something that's special.
Mm-hmm.
Yay. I see the smiles all over the studio right now. It is fantastic. Okay. So I know you guys are anticipating. You're like, who is this person?
Who's
Anyways,
the guest?
Because anyhow, man, I can do that any day. No, you can't. That's why we're here right now. Okay. So our special. So would you like us to introduce our special guest? Or
We're going to go into a song first.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we will come back and introduce our special guest.
Absolutely.
And as we said, you can send your comments, your questions, your thoughts to us on Twitter at LTAI Radio Show.
Mm-hmm.
That's LTAI Radio Show.
Yeah.
You can also find us on Facebook at Let's Talk About It. So
Yeah.
the page is called Let's Talk About It.
Yeah.
Click like, follow, send us a message, and you can give us a call or text on 07-447-682247. That's 07-447-682247. So keep this information close to you, because I know once we start talking, you're going to be like, oh my days, I need to share my thoughts. I need to send it in.
Yes.
So you need this information so that when we're ready, you're ready.
Come on now, somebody. Hello and good evening. Hello and good evening one more time. Welcome back to Let's Talk About It on Reconcilers Radio in conjunction with
OFNC 18 to 30.
Yes, we are mega excited. Tonight is a special show, and you guys should by now have got your tea and your biscuits. You just heard Kirk Franklin's Revolution. To think that was ages ago, like ages ago, is really cool to listen to some of that music and be like, appreciate where you were at that time. Like, do you know where I was, Mrs. Vito, when that song came out?
Where were you?
Basically, no, I was at that time when that song came out, I was still a young man doing my year 8. Imagine, I was in year 8 and had just come to discover that I really loved dancing.
Mm-hmm.
And so one day I approached a group that was dancing outside the hall, preparing for a performance. And so when it came to like the rap part, they didn't have anyone to dance there. And they were like, they had just come to the end of their routine. So they're like, what are we going to do? And then it was like, you know how Soul Train used to be, where people come through and they start. Yeah, but I was like, yo, this is my moment to shine. And so I started flexing, doing some kinetics, moving my bodies, And by the time I finished moving, they were like, yo, no, you have to do the show. So imagine, that was the first time that I did like a big performance. And I was on the stage. And prior to that, I used to be a bit of a cheerleader still,
An actual cheerleader,
like,
with the pom-poms and everything.
No pom-poms. But I used to lead
pom-poms.
No pom-poms, yeah. I used to lead the choruses. So
Okay.
like it's so weird. We're like icky picky pocky and that's like everyone would reply,
Oh, right.
father
Okay.
had a donkey, donkey died, father cried, icky picky pocky and
Oh,
so like
right.
it'd be like,
Okay.
so I used to lead.
You were hype man.
I was the hype man,
Yeah.
and you can see that it's still living with me today,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah,
The
yeah,
hype
yeah.
hasn't died. Nobody will kill my vibe. Even the haters, they will not kill my vibe. Yes, and you have to say that to yourself every morning. You have to say, the haters will not kill my vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you is that you going ahead?
They will not kill my vibe.
All right, so listen, without further ado, I have delayed this long enough.
Mm-hmm.
We are ready to go. So
Yes. So basically,
can I do a drum roll, please?
no,
Okay,
well,
that was cool. Don't worry. Let me try.
yeah, you can do a drum roll, but not right this moment.
Sorry, that
when I'll give you a cue. I'll give you the cue,
Yes.
and then you do your drum roll.
Okay, the hype
Okay.
is still real.
Oh gosh. So basically, the 14th to the 18th of March was National Apprenticeship Week. Okay, guys. For those of you that know, it is designed to celebrate apprenticeships and the positive impact they have on individuals, businesses, and the wider community. Okay. So that was the 14th to the 18th of March. So there were lots of activities going on all over the UK to celebrate Apprenticeship Week and apprentices.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, we have today
In
someone.
our midst.
Yeah, we have today Miss Bonsu.
Woo!
Who-
I
so
need to get clapping hands.
You
Very
can do
soon.
you can do your drum roll now then.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, it was cool. Don't worry.
So we have Miss Bonsu, and Miss Bonsu is a presenter, a tailor, a stylist, an entrepreneur, and the National Apprenticeship cover girl.
Jeez!
Okay, she
Are you
is.
serious?
She is the cover girl.
Are you serious?
You know when you get on your train and you're like, "Who's that?"
Chevy, who's this babe?
That's her. Okay.
Yes, indeed.
So in 2012, she started her apprenticeship, which she completed in 2014, and since then she has been in the Metro newspaper. She's been on Colourful Radio in 2015. Birmingham Close Show. She was a panelist in 2015.
Indeed. Sharing her story in it.
Yeah.
Imagine, of all the apprentices in the UK, she gets chosen to tell her story.
Amazing.
And that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's dope. Yeah.
And most recently, she was in the Voice newspaper this year.
Oh,
just
right.
a week or two ago,
Still
actually.
telling her story.
Yeah.
Come on now, somebody.
I told you she's the National Apprenticeship cover girl.
Okay,
so can we give a warm round of applause? All my tuner-inners. Okay, can we give a warm round of applause? Can we give a clap?
Warm round of applause for Miss Butter.
Hello guys.
Yes,
Hi,
Miss Bonsu, you just got the longest introduction
I
ever.
was just about to say that is the longest intro I've ever had in my whole entire life.
But it was nice, right?
It was nice. Well prepared. No, ratings.
Thank you.
Mrs. Vito's getting better every day, isn't it? Yeah.
We try.
So, Miss Bonsu, thank you so much for joining us. You are a special guest, and obviously, you got bare stuff to say. You got loads of things to say.
Yep.
And tonight's topic is not something that you are immune to talking about, is it? No, it isn't. Now, for those of you who have been wondering what it is we're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about
sexting among under 16s.
Say what?
Yeah, that's right. Sexting. You heard me. Sexting.
Not sextings. Yeah.
Sexting among under 16s. Did you hear that? Under 16s.
Bruh.
So you're barely a teenager.
You haven't even fully
barely
accepted that you're alive. And you're already talking about sex.
Yeah.
No, we will talk about it today. Anybody who has been hiding, we will talk about it.
Can you imagine?
Very important matters of the heart right here.
Crazy.
And Mrs. Vito, the way we want to take this conversation is there's so many different angles, but very, very important aspects of it involve live data, things that we've actually seen, that we've actually encountered,
right,
that we've heard from the young people themselves. So what we're going to share with you is not something that we're making up in our heads and then we're coming to tell you about it. No, this is the real deal stuff. And if you guys pay attention, our prayer is that somehow, some way, you may come into contact with some of these young people and you can talk them straight. Okay, you know, as much as it depends on us, we will be endeavoring to talk to as many young people as we can. You know, that's why we got to step up our events game, right? Because we got to get these kids in and be talking to them real life. And if they're not careful, we will show up in the school. You know, show up in the school on parents' evening and say, "What have you been doing?" You know, but you know, we do it all out of love. So wow, Mrs. Vito, would you like to serenade us with your thoughts on what sexting is? Is there some kind of, by now, I'm sure that this word has reached the dictionary, because if all the young people are using it as part of their vocabulary, yeah, it must have reached the dictionary. But yeah, sexting has become a problem. And for those of you who are wondering what it is, brace yourself for the definition. Are you ready? So basically, sexting is when you send someone sexually explicit photographs or messages via mobile phone. So sexting is a combination of two words: text. Text and things.
Picture.
Yeah.
How can you say sex and things?
No, I said. That's what I'm saying. That's what sexting is.
I thought you meant like pictures and text.
Yes, but I was just, you know, I am allowed to stretch the definition a little bit, but basically
sex and things.
Sex and things. No, I said it's sex, text, and things. Do you understand? So anything along those lines that touches those boundaries is very real. So without further delay, Miss Bonsu, what is your what is sexting to you? I mean, we all have our own personal definitions, but what is sexting to you?
I think sexting to me is any form of telecommunications that incites somebody to eventually have some form of sex, whether it's you know, physical, you know, sexual intercourse. You know, I mean, it includes. I hope this is kind of like, I don't know what kind of show. This is not a U show, is it? It's kind of like PG-13.
My friend.
Yes, it's a PG-13.
Yes.
Okay, so
the parents are guiding us.
Some things I want to say, but
you want to hold back. Okay.
Yeah. So,
let the spirit hold you.
Anything that incites anyone to do or to act in a sexual manner.
Right. And that can be in the form of explicit words.
Yeah.
Yes, it can be in the form of explicit words. It can be in the form of revealing your nakedness. It can be in the form of sending videos, pictures of your body parts, and making requests about the very same things that we're talking about. So it's not just the person who sends the materials that's got challenges, okay? It's also the person who is requesting the materials.
Yeah.
Because what we found out, guys, is that, and I'm sure you guys know about this, is that a lot of people, when they ask for nudes, or they called nudes, right? When they ask for them, majority of the time, this type of material can not only be used for self-gratification, but it can be used for the humiliation of the person who has sent them. Yeah. So it's not only just a conversation between two people. Majority of the time, it's a conversation between one person who is overly vulnerable and a whole load of people who get to stare, judge, self-gratify, and do all types of things with your images.
Right.
You know, so it's much bigger than just an exchange between two people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And most people start their relationships based on this principle. So, say, for example, you're on Instagram, okay, and you see one hot babe like this, and you think, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do this? So instead of you trying to speak to her like you would normally do, you literally, actually, wait, before I even continue this definition, I literally need to back out for a second. Bear with me. Okay. So, what was I saying, Mrs. Vito? I was saying something. I think something happened there. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So I was saying that it's not just a conversation between two people, and I was saying that. So you're trying to message someone on their Instagram, but instead of messaging them, you decide to send them a picture of your penis
Mm-hmm.
or a private part, or I don't know. I mean, for men, there's really not much for us to send that would be uh, suggestive, if you understand what I'm saying. But you send a picture of your penis, and you think that this is how you're supposed to present yourself. And so, obviously, this girl is now left with the burden of either responding to what you've said, if she thinks she likes you,
Mm-hmm.
or literally being how shall I say it, being coy and not responding to such foolishness.
Mm-hmm.
But for the vast majority, if a girl ends up liking you, she too may respond and send you something very suggestive.
Mm-hmm.
Now, amongst adults, we see it amongst young adults. It's sort of a craze that is more popular amongst young adults. However, I'd like to dare and say, I don't
sexting?
think, yes, like as in young adults, it starts around there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying the foundation of it is it was some young adults somewhere, or young adults who thought it was okay to start sending these kind of suggestive images via social media. But I'd like to dare and say that it may have started with the older generation.
Mm-hmm.
So if the older generation at any point found it comfortable to mess around with things like pornography, to mess around with things like sexual exposure prematurely, right? All of this, they say what we do in moderation, kids will do to the extreme.
Right.
Yeah.
So before we start going, why are kids sexting? We need to go, wait, the adults were doing something that was provoking sexual response in the young people. Does this make sense? That's not to say all adults are doing something. And if you're not, if you know you did the right thing concerning your kids, this shouldn't offend you. But for somebody who has been inappropriately sexually active in front of or around their kids, or guiltily sending or responding to the requests of men or women via social media, we shouldn't be surprised that this is an issue that is growing now amongst our young people.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm gonna let you guys come in, and maybe we can sort of round table this discussion and see what's going on. So Mrs. Vito, what were your findings in the process of you thinking about this topic?
To put things into perspective, because people might go, well, how do you know it's rising? How do you know it's skyrocketing? How do we know that there's an increase in under 16s indulging in sexting and things like that? Basically, the police force did an investigation in 2013. 18 forces investigated 51 cases of under 16s sexting or receiving, explicit messages. That's the known cases anyway, ones that were reported in 2013. Fast forward 2015, those cases increased to 665.
Wow.
So that's a huge increase, that means more young people are engaging in these kind of activities. And
I would suspect it's also because a lot of young people have access to social media.
Well, this is the other thing that has been spoken about, the fact that because of social media, because of things like Snapchat, Instagram, now we have what's that? Periscope, it's easier for people to access. It's easier for young people to access. And we're finding that young people are also lying about their age to get access to certain social media accounts like Grindr, like Tinder. They're actually lying so that they can access it. For whatever. They don't need to. You're 14, you're 16. What do you need to be on there for? But they're lying to get access. And on those kind of platforms,
Yeah.
who's policing what's already out there?
No one.
You know, and it's not for that age group anyway. So they're already facing, you know, subconscious pressure, really. It may not be that someone's literally saying, oh, you have to go on to the site, you have to register, but there is that pressure because you're seeing it. So it's becoming normal. You're thinking, oh, okay, well, it's out there for the older people. This must mean this is what we have to look forward to, per se. So I might as well get used to it now.
Which is the false idea.
Exactly.
You know? And Miss Bonsu, what are you thinking? What's your take? What is your
I mean, this topic is just it's been relevant for such a long time.
Yeah.
And I think I will start with, I was kind of privileged to be in 2 different schools this week. I was at an all-boys school, and I also visited an all-girls school today. And at the all-boys school, one thing that kind of has stuck in my head from when we began this conversation was the fact that, you know, the idea that it has started from the older generation.
Yeah.
And what I noticed, whilst talking to these these young men, young guys, mainly the year 11s and the year 10s, was that they were being influenced by their quote unquote elders.
Oh my.
Right.
So this is where it starts from.
Yeah.
You know, when they're 13, 14, and then they start hanging out with their elders, though they may not have the latest phone, but their older might have the latest phone. And so they are being introduced to certain sites, certain forms of communication much earlier than what their parents would even think is going on. So I think it just became apparent to me that and actually one of the boys said to me, you know, Miss, imagine everything that you were doing at 15, we're doing it more and worse. Those were his words.
Wow.
Those were his words. And, you know, and it stemmed from a debate that they wanted to have with me about their generation.
So they came to you. They mentioned it to you that we want to have a debate about our generation. You know that what scares me about that is they must know something is deeply wrong. With our situation, with our setup, with our atmosphere, with our generation. But there is a dialogue about it, but it's not a transformative dialogue. Because right now, when people say, "Oh, we're trying to make young people aware of what the dangers are," I think young people already know what the dangers are. They just need somebody to step in and say, "Excuse me, what are you doing?"
To
question them.
No, I think another problem is that, you know, we call it sexting. They call it in the DMs.
Down in the DMs.
It's down in the DMs. It's not. It's not labeled as a danger to them. It's a game, and so you know, with the likes of Snapchat, Instagram, I mean, the boys were revealing that, you know, that they've got like 2,000 followers on Twitter, 9,000 followers on Instagram.
Wow.
And, you know, and they're quite popular on Snapchat. Even one of them said that they were quite active on Periscope.
Right.
And so, and, you know, one thing that I've noticed about Periscope is that if you have your location on, you get so much spam.
Really?
So many random people adding you. And, you know, you can guarantee that a third of them are going to be
like pornographic sites or whatever.
Accounts and things like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, you don't know that they're adding you until you actually check your followers. And so these young boys, 14, 15, are active on all these platforms. And, you know, they're not, you know, like Lola said, they're not being policed. And, you know, they're coming to me to tell me this is the experience of our generation. And you know, and I mentioned that I was at the all-girls school.
Yeah.
I visited the all-girls school today, and you know, some of the conversations that I heard year sevens having, you know, they had a non-school uniform day, and so a lot of them were in different colors, and all I heard was 50 Shades of Grey. Year 7 students.
Wow.
So I turned around and I said, "What? We should not be talking about 50 Shades of Grey." And she said, "Oh no, miss, I'm just talking about my headscarf. It's the same color as this other girl's." But the fact that they referred to this explicit movie that really and truly they should have never heard about, they are 12, 11.
12, and they're talking about, you see, and the thing is, for
and
those
they
of you
refer
who...
to it, even though in a different context, but the fact is that they refer to it. So, you know, they're seeing this on TV, you know, the adverts were out there quite explicit and steamy and everything like that, out on a TV for everyone to see, you know, the adverts pop up on your YouTube app, those kind of things.
And a movie was made about it.
Yeah, exactly. And so the likes of social media and apps and the accessibility is making things like, you know, sexual communication via technology so kind of it's wild. It's what I would call wild.
You know, Miss Bonsu,
uncontrollable.
As you're saying what you're saying, I just needed. I was like, you know what, I need to see this for myself. And when I say see this for myself, I just had to go and literally dig up the 50 Shades of Grey book, okay? Because I wanted to see how many, what the stats are on the book. So basically, this book is about, for those of you who don't know, this book is about an intern, strangely enough, right? An intern who enters into a company and comes across this mysterious CEO who is not in...
Yeah, go on.
Mysterious stranger man who is not necessarily interested in relationship, but is more into sex and bondage, or that type of sort of kinky sexual activity. And so she joins him, and, you know, it's one weird, very weird relationship. However, for those of you who don't know, the book itself has 514 pages. Did you know that? It has 514 pages of sexually explicit material.
Wow.
And what's ironic is many kids will have the patience to sit down and read this. Isn't it funny? 514 pages. Because I don't know if you've ever noticed, because I've been in schools for a little bit, right? So I noticed that most schools, when they recommend guided reading, they never recommend books that help you self-develop or self-reflect. They tend to recommend storybooks or novels as part of the reading material. Now, I'm not saying in the schools they're recommending 50 Shades of Grey. What I'm saying is the culture and the mindset is read about stories, read stories. Never about things that question what your moral compass is about. What should guide your thinking process? Is this sort of making sense? I don't know if about you, Miss Bonsu, but I started coming across sort of motivational material very much later in life.
Yeah.
But I came across a lot of novels. My dad used to read novels. My mom used to read novels. We had a whole library full. You know, the size of my library. My library is a decent size, and it's full of self-development books. Okay, but my parents had novels. And I remember always sitting down and looking at these novels going, I can't get into these stories. I tried, you know, and sometimes you look at the front cover and you see a man and a woman sort of embracing and you're like, I don't know what's all this. I mean, you know, I wasn't even thinking that way. But to think now, you know, kids have access to 50 Shades of Grey. Let me throw something out that's going to intrigue you both. Okay. Imagine this. How is 50 Shades of Grey getting into the hands of kids?
It's the parents.
The parents would have had to have bought the copy, read it, and left it lying around. And then the kids hear about the hype about 50 Shades of Grey. Because we know this. Whenever there's a sexual type of conversation, everyone's ears open up. Do you know what I'm saying? So whether it's university students, or whether it's your older sister, or rarely your older brother will read the book. Older brothers tend to watch pornography.
in the magazines.
in the magazines and all that type of stuff. So guys' media and women's media is very different. But I began to discover that actually the more women that get into stories like 50 Shades of Grey, the more dysfunctional the kind of relationships they're willing to entertain. Because you can never do 50 Shades of Grey, that storyline, without a some kind of dysfunction. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Right.
Without you having to accept certain practices as normal,
Yeah.
which will then imbalance you anyway.
Right.
So it's quite interesting that our kids are getting access to this material, but it's getting into the house. It's getting into your house because our parents are buying this stuff.
Do you know what's interesting? Is that if I rewind to when I was in secondary school, 1990, I don't want to give it away.
In 1990, I don't want to give it away.
In the 1990s or something.
Yes.
When I was in secondary school, there was a young girl who had who brought in a book. And the book was a racy number, those romantic books, but it, quite similar to the whole 50 Shades of Grey,
Right?
But
right.
not in the way that because this is about kind of domineering type,
yes. It's not
intimacy type stuff. Whereas this one was that kind of romantic, you girl meets guy, they fall in love, and this is what they do when they fall in love, kind of thing. And so, because of the way it was described, it was hyped up in the school, and the person who brought it in, it was almost like, oh, what book is it? And then other people wanted to look at it, and because it was naughty, you're not supposed to be reading such a book and whatever. So that was kind of floating around. And it's funny because you think, okay, well, that was a book and you could only really access that from that person. And if it wasn't for her, you wouldn't really know about it. It wasn't like a bestseller or anything like that. Yeah. Then we fast forward and we have technology, and every child practically every child has a smartphone. It's one thing to have a phone, but a smartphone is very different because a smartphone allows you to connect to the internet. A smartphone allows you to have access to certain things that you wouldn't normally have on just a normal brick phone. Something that you receive calls on, you can make calls, texting, and that's it.
Wow.
Whereas now you've basically got a computer in your bag. And so when you have this kind of access, the world is your oyster, per se.
It literally is. And when you, in fact, hear this, because you said oyster, and a word just came into my mind, is the world is your Pandora's box.
Literally. Because
Pandora's box, the legend is that when it was opened, nobody knew what was coming out. You just saw issues. And a smartphone is a Pandora's box, especially to a child who is still, developing.
Yeah, growing, learning. No one's really put a manual out there to say, okay, look, this is what you should and shouldn't do. We know that, okay, don't access this website, etc. But sometimes our parents are given phones to young people and they don't even know how to operate the phone.
Right.
So how do they even protect their children when they don't know how to use the phone? It doesn't work that way. You then have the upper hand on your parents. You can pretend like, okay, yeah, mum, I won't do that. And actually you're doing all the things you shouldn't be doing. You're accessing all the sites you shouldn't be accessing.
It's actually madness. Miss Bonson, what are you thinking? Talk to us.
I mean, I think Lola made a very good point when she said, the older people don't know how to use phones. And I went to a seminar last week, and the lady who was given this seminar is a marketing expert, and she said that she holds classes for 40-year-olds plus on how to use Twitter.
Right.
And she said that from her feedback, they are the age group that find those classes the most useful.
Wow.
Which is a bit, it's obvious, because if you're going to do a class on for a 22-year-old on how to use Twitter, they're not going to find that class useful because they already know half the stuff you're going to say anyway. But she just made it a point to say, social media is so important that, you know, more older people should be coming to her classes to learn
Absolutely.
how to use Twitter.
Absolutely. And to be fair, informed parents mean kids are less likely to be deformed.
Right. And that actually reminds me of a story that was in the news a few years ago, but it was kind of resurfaced maybe a month or two ago, about a young boy who was a heavy gamer and, you know, connected with another gamer through the internet, and through that he was lured to this other gamer's house and he was sexually abused and was subsequently killed.
Right.
And,
Yes.
you know, and his mother, you know, kind of she was quite in the know, but at the same time, you know, she did her best to try and find out as much as she could about, you know, social media and things like that, and, you know, she still couldn't save her child. And, you know, it goes to show that there are, you know, like I said before, it's social media is like the Wild West. It's, you know, it has no boundaries.
Right.
And so where she was trying to find a way into her son's social media life to find out information, she couldn't, because it has no boundaries. Like, there are so many doors, so many access points that she couldn't actually, you know, tie up any loose ends.
Right.
And so he was on a wild goose chase on his social media accounts, and, you know, and it ended up in her son being murdered.
And
but
you know what's
the
so
fact is that
deep?
he was sexually abused.
Exactly. Do you know? And that's so deep. It's real. It's real, and I don't even think it's not everybody who understands the complexity of this issue, in the sense that, you know, like you said, with the social media, there is no boundaries. We think there are laws, but there aren't boundaries. You know, and boundaries are moral guidances about what is good and what is bad. I don't know if you get where I'm coming from. And majority of the time, people only know when they've done bad when they've done it, not before they've done it. Unless there's, you know, so there must be a warning of some kind. There must be a telling of some kind that needs to happen. And yes, there are initiatives to get talking to kids about this issue, but it's not enough.
But what are the initiatives? Because a lot of the time, some schools don't even offer PSHE.
You're right. And it's not even compulsory.
Yeah, especially for academies. They don't even have to do it.
Yeah, which is crazy, to be honest, because I'm like, you guys have no idea. Like, I'm going to be honest right now. Like, having observed what I have in some of the schools I've worked in, I've noticed that it's weird, but every time with young people, right, there is always this underground network of things that anyone who is not within the same age bracket will not be able to see. I don't know if you know what I'm saying. Like, no child, unless, for example, in Miss Bonsu's case, where the young gentlemen were willingly offering up their what you call it, their insight into the generation. Oh, hold on, we actually have a caller.
We have a caller.
Just bear with us 1 second. All right, 1 second. Hello, caller. You are on the line.
Oh yes. Good evening. You know, good evening, and thanks for a wonderful topic that you're discussing.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
I'm calling from South London.
Okay.
And my name is Angela, and
Welcome, Angela.
Ruth as well. I'm really impressed that you're dealing with this topic, because I'm calling from the point of view of a parent.
Right.
Yeah.
And something that troubles us. I think I'm going to speak for many parents out there, and especially for myself, I've got teenage children, and there is this fast exposure. That it's wild out there, as well as you said, and it's become uncontrollable. I'm very concerned. If you're watching something at the cinema, something is coming up on television, hopefully we're supposed to have, you know, the time margins where we know them.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Was
Hello?
that a question? Oh, hello? Hello? Hello. Oh, I think we might have lost our caller. I don't know what's happened there. Hello. Okay, wait.
I can hear.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
okay. You
We
can hear us.
lost
Sorry.
you
We
for a
lost you for a
moment.
second there. So,
Oh, we can't hear you.
we actually can't hear you. This is very annoying. Okay, I think there might be
Huh?
something wrong. Okay, hello.
Yes, I'm just concerned that everything is being thrown at our children.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not an accident. I really don't feel it's an accident. The social media out there, I think it is evil. It is designed to entice our children.
Yeah.
And many parents feel strongly about this and to a large extent cannot do much about it.
Yeah.
We can, but there are controls in place.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, parental controls and that. Many parents use it. But think about the parents who is not savvy with the technology. And yet their children do use phones. They take the phones. They go to school with the phones.
Yeah.
And they link, keeping up with other children, keeping up even with so much requirements now for, that is geared towards the smartphones, access to the internet.
Yep.
Children are now doing their homework sometimes
on
and
their
sending
phone.
things via mobile phones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can see that it's expanding all the time.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Do you know what? I totally agree with you. I think one of the issues, like you mentioned, that to some degree, and I get this, is that social media is marketed towards young people anyway. So they're not looking at an older demographic to go, oh my days, how would you like to learn how to use Twitter? It's not something that is, it's not the in thing. Young people pick up on these things so quickly that that they're the easiest market to convert.
Yeah.
Because they're just given a tool without boundaries. And actually, there's a study by the it's called the ECDL sort of organization who deal with young people and how young people gain skills to do with IT. So they were basically saying that just because a child has access to technology does not mean that a child knows how to use it.
Yeah.
And so they're finding that a lot of students who are growing up do not have the ability to process, to use the technology appropriately. And it's not even talking about sexting. We're even just talking about generally using technology. They know only how to click like on pictures, how to upload the pictures, how to send the pictures. But go and ask the same child how to use Microsoft Word. It is a very rare thing. So the actual skills that they should be learning concerning IT, they're not learning.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think also,
Yeah, proceed, Auntie.
Deciding what is appropriate to them. They will not really know that.
Yeah.
And again, and like your guest speaker said, she is going into schools, and I thank God for the type of job that she is doing, to be able to go out there and talk to these children face to face. To hear that a child is saying, and this is the truth, what you were doing when you were 15, they are doing that multiplied 10 times more.
Yeah.
And think about the parents of our generation.
Yeah.
It's alarming because we're talking about a whole generation, that is different. You think, 1990s, one of you went to school, but for us, that is just yesterday.
Absolutely. It's so true. It's true.
Do you understand? It is really scary and out there. Now, we can only pray as Christians that this evil technology, it is great in many ways, but there's a very dark element
Absolutely.
to social media and what is in the hands of children.
Right.
I do also take issue with the fact that some children could access books like 50 Shades of Grey. But don't forget there's Kindle. And there's technology again to allow people to access books. You understand?
Yeah.
So even the summaries of the book could be graphic. And if the children are determined to access these things, if the parents do not have the parental controls and everything else, it could not be their phone, it could be a friend's phone.
Yeah.
They could be invited in the school playground.
Yeah.
Or on the bus. So it is really frightening.
It is, and this is part of why we decided it had to be an issue that was spoken about, because there is no point in us not talking about it and just hoping somehow, crossing our fingers that our entire generation is going to become alert. I mean, one of the things we've been touching on, caller, is that the older brothers and the older sisters of our young people, the youngest, the under 16s, it's the older siblings that are actually that sort of initiate the children, the young people, into social media. So maybe when your younger brother or your little sister sees you, taking pictures, and seeming like you're having the time of your life in the process, why wouldn't they want to do that? Because they don't really have anyone else to emulate.
Yeah.
And so they see you doing it. Maybe you're doing it to girls. Maybe you're looking on Instagram constantly. So my addiction to social media as an older person will affect the younger people's perception of what social media actually means to the lives of people. Do you see what I mean?
Yes, I totally agree with that. I'd like to ask your guest speaker as well.
Yes.
From her point of view of speaking to young people, how many of these children would say that they get their information from, older siblings or uncles, aunties, and the people that they are mixing with in the family? I'd be interested to hear what she says.
Right. So, Miss Bonsu, did you get that question? So our caller is asking if how what is the guarantee that young people are actually receiving this kind of information from other from their older siblings and all that type of stuff. Just hold on 1 second. Here we go. Go ahead, Miss Bonsu.
So the question was how
are the young people that you've had a chance to speak to, how are they receiving their information about what's going on in social media?
Yeah, how much of an influence is it from the older siblings or aunties and uncles and things like that?
Sorry.
Okay. So
just repeat that.
Okay, so the younger kids are learning a lot from their brothers and sisters, right?
Right. Yeah.
How did you come to finding that out, so to speak?
How did I?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Angela, actually, what we can do is I can confirm that for you. We can all confirm that for you from the perspective of Mrs. Vito has worked as a learning mentor, and in her time as a learning mentor, she was exposed to a lot of young ladies who would confess their early relationship situations. Our caller works in schools as well, and I work in schools as well. So I actually had the privilege of talking to under 16s on Tuesday in my local youth club. And I was talking about relationships, as in what is acceptable and unacceptable in relationships. And, when I asked them, and they had a whole myriad of answers, whether it was from kissing, how they perceive attraction, when they look at a guy, when young girls look at a guy, these are kids in primary school, by the way, young girls look at a guy, they go, actually, if I look at his shoes and I don't like his shoes, then I probably won't go for him. Right? This is kids who are under 16.
They're under 11.
Under 11 even, talking about if his shoes are not right. And then they'll even say stuff like, my friend, so they'll say a whole load of things. And I asked them, I said, where are you getting all of this from? And then they said, our older brothers and sisters who might be doing the same thing, maybe trying to attract guys and whatever. Because we have to understand that our conduct is infectious. So whatever we think is okay and it's fine or doesn't have any issues, eventually will be used in the court of law by kids.
Yes.
To defend their own bad actions.
Whether you see yourself as a role model or not.
So this is what we've all been talking about it this week. Even just as Miss Bonsu was saying that she came across students who were talking, about 50 Shades of Grey, and it's like rightly so. Yes, kids have access to Kindles, but remember who gave them access to the Kindles? It's the parents, isn't it? And maybe sometimes the school, but parents are very much in the process of empowering their kids with technology, like the latest phones. Like I have a decent phone. Okay, mine is about 2 generations behind what is out right now. But I'm noticing that there are kids who are coming into our schools with the latest iPhone 6. Mm-hmm. So in most times that phone is smarter than their own parents' phone. Because parents tend to be like, you know what, I'm okay with this one as long as it can call and receive calls. I don't need it to be much smarter than that. But because kids are demanding, they say, no, I need the latest technology.
Which they don't need.
Which they actually don't need. Mm-hmm. This is what then gives them access to whatever their parents did in moderation, the kids now have extreme access to.
Yeah.
Does that sort of help to... Yeah, so...
Very careful, what our children access and who they also mingle with, and
absolutely
to be very, very wary and talk to them all the time and caution them, because this is really not our portion.
Indeed, it is a lot. It is a lot, and we may not be able to stop the generation sinking, but what we can do is to inform the generation of those who are believers on what they can do, and in the process, hopefully, there'll still be a moral boundary. So much so that even kids who are outside of faith will be able to see that, you know what? I mean, I'm doing this, but it's wrong.
Absolutely.
Not just from the perspective of the law coming against them and saying what you've done is illegal, but also from the perspective of the moral guidance code that really this is not going to help our generation in any way, shape, or form. And that's what we're hoping for. So when we start these discussions, we don't start with hoping that it's gonna stop with us here. We take it to wherever we can go, whether it's our events, whether it's the schools we work in, whether it's the young people that we have access to in our local community. We talk about it until their hearts are set on the right path. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, there is no point in us. We might as well watch the generation sing. So, Kola, we really appreciate you. Thank you so much for giving us a call.
Thank you very much indeed. And thanks for the discussion.
Thank you so much, Angela.
Thank you.
God bless you. Right. So, Miss Bonsu. Yes. You see, this is one of those conversations that does have a lot of sort of issues riding with it. And like I always say, we always feel like you need a part 2 to address the matter, isn't it? Because it is a lot. So, Miss Bonsu, I mean, just even so you shared about young men. Okay, these are young men who are just about 15, 16. Can you just sort of enlighten us on what they revealed to you that was particularly interesting, especially in regards to approaching girls via social media and all that type of stuff?
Oh, wow. I mean, I wish we had like another hour. It was a very, very interesting conversation I had with these young men. And I mean, I think one thing that shocked me was the way they use social media to relate to the opposite sex,
right?
And how that affects the way they see them,
right?
And so, what I came to observe and to find out was Instagram is just used to. It's like a candy store for them. So they go through the Instagram pictures, and some of them even asked me, oh, Miss, do you think this so and so is pretty, or so and so is pretty, and why? What has that got to do with the price of fish?
Right.
What has it was completely kind of totally irrelevant to our conversation. But they still brought that in, and that's part of the way they choose girls. You know, it's part of the way. It's part of the process in which they, you know, they target particular girls to for their escapades and things like that. And, you know, it got to the point where, you know, some of them even revealed that because of social media, they have, you know, managed to find a way to, in a sense, lose their virginities. So some of them were even boasting about losing their virginity in year 8. And, you know, this is, you're 13, 12. 13 or 12, and this is because of, you know, things like Facebook and Twitter. And I asked him, okay, so you're telling me that, you know, you have this many girls or that many girls. Where do you meet these girls? Instagram, Twitter, two of the top social medias that, you know, they all kind of mentioned.
It's crazy.
Aside from, you know, outside kind of, you know, you're out and about, but it's mainly social media. And I was kind of, you know, that comment that what the young guy made about Miss. Just imagine all the things you were doing when you were 15, but we're doing that, you know, more and even worse. So basically, whereas, you know, adults have apps like, you know, Tinder and Match.com and all these things where, in a sense, it's the grown-up version. They are doing the same. They are trying to replicate that with Instagram. So they will scroll past the pictures and message. It's a free service. Instagram is a free service. Meanwhile, Match.com, you have to pay for a subscription just to message someone. But those subscription boundaries are put in place, you know, to make it feel safe and, you know, kind of thing. But this is a free service that they're using, and it was just very kind of. It made me feel sad, to be fair, and quite upset that this is where it's got to. And this was quite a prestigious school in central London. You know, I'm not going to reveal the name, but it was a prestigious all-boys school in central London. So you know, it wasn't, you know, a low-performing school in the back of East London somewhere, or in the back of South London. So it's happening across all boards, across all classes. You know, it's quite alarming.
You see, and this continues. You know, as you were saying that, Ms. Bonsu, I thought majority of the time, if a guy is going to enter into your DMs, right? DMs standing for direct messages, okay? If a guy is going to enter into your DMs, the majority of the time, before he enters, he must have seen a picture. Which brings me to another thing. Before anyone does any kind of sexting, okay, where they send sexually explicit images via mobile phones to another person, majority of the time you have to have seen something about the person that you're inboxing. Isn't this true?
Right. Yeah.
So,
to see, yeah.
Now, what I have noticed, you know, because you never really need to go far. I don't know if this has happened to you, but sometimes, and this is both girls and boys, I've found that maybe I might be on Twitter, and maybe perhaps one of the followers that that has followed me, I'm curious to find out what kind of person they are. You know, you're studying the demographic you're dealing with, and so this person, you now click their timeline. And then maybe you see someone else and you go, oh, who's that person? That looks familiar. So you click on that. Now, when you click on maybe 2 or 3 people away from the person who's following you, you realize something. You go down their timeline, and what do you come across? A picture of a sexually explicit picture of whether it's a man's private parts or a woman's private parts, all plastered on the person's timeline. Maybe it's what you call a retweet. So they've got it from someone else, and maybe there's sort of funny comments that accompany it, right? And then you'll find that the person who is retweeting it is actually claiming to be a Christian. So what's happening is they're sending mixed signals. But here's my thing. A lot of girls are actually posting very, very indiscriminately suggestive pictures.
Oh, definitely.
On these social media networks.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna lie. Instagram can be a pain to have, because as soon as you click on Discovery, because on Discovery you see everyone's pictures that are of interest because they've been hashtagged. Before even the third line, there's already a girl who's half naked. By half naked, I mean she's probably just wearing a bra and sweatpants. You can imagine what kind of messages this girl will get via direct messages. And the worst thing is that the girl doesn't stop posting these kind of pictures. In fact, it's almost like when men or boys or children message her, it's an encouragement that, look, I'm being noticed for my physical attraction. Therefore, I have influence.
Yes. The wrong type of thought.
And to be fair, it's not even influence, it's called seduction. You see, because influence is something that you can use positively, but you can't use seduction positively. It's very difficult to use seduction positively, because seduction is the art of extracting what you want from a person without them even understanding the process that's going on. So when you put out these pictures, ladies specifically, and I'm talking to the older girls, I'm not talking about the under 16s, because the under 16s have to go onto your Instagram profile. They see your pictures with your big bum and your big breasts being hugged by your clothes, transparent clothes, high heels, the makeup to the T, filter on blast, pose on blast. You see, because sometimes it's not even the fact that the girl looks nice. Check the pose. Everything is sticking out. Everything is accentuated. Everything is out there. Now you're thinking, hey, I want my friends to see how good I look. But what you're not seeing, you see, when you put all those hashtags, honey, okay, what you're doing is putting this out to everyone. And so somebody's child, it's really painful to talk about this, because somebody's child, under 16, is going to see your picture and think, before you used to see a picture of a girl in a magazine and you go, I want to be like her. Now you see the picture of the girl. You can follow the girl. You can tell the girl how much you love her. You can tell her how much you admire her. The more you tell her that the more these kids say that they admire them, the more these young ladies think, this is the way.
Live and direct.
I can influence people. And what are they doing? Damaging generation after generation. Then you see, this is why the 14-year-old girl is saying, I want to do makeup. I'm telling you, it's nothing to do with the magazines, It's more to do with Instagram platforms, where you can see the picture, you can stare at it for as long as you like. You can send it to your friend. You can send it to your groups of friends. And so, I was in a class today, I'm very, very worried about this statement. So there was this girl, she's pretty, petite, very young girl. You can see that, when you can project that this girl, if she persists looking like this, she's going to be one of those sort of very attractive girls that people will enjoy looking at. And by that, I mean, you can see, even when you look at babies, you can sometimes tell that this child is going to be a bit of a looker because of how they look, and
they just have certain features
exactly,
that just stand
things
out.
that are quite whatever attractive. And so two girls were sitting across the room looking at this girl, talking about her. Now watch this. You know what they said? They said to each other, she has the perfect body. I'm not gonna lie to you.
The perfect body.
The perfect body. Then they looked at the girl and said to the girl, we're talking about you. And so she was like, oh, okay. And then they said, we were just saying how you have the perfect body. Now, these girls, in their own right, are pretty girls. But they're staring at this girl going, oh, she's beautiful. Which is not bad. But when it's beautiful to the extent that you are even losing your self-esteem, there's already a problem.
Oh, definitely.
Now, imagine on Instagram, there is no way of telling what your pictures are doing to people. Just because people are clicking like doesn't mean that it's having a positive effect on them.
Yeah, a lot of people think, oh, I'm appreciating beauty. Meanwhile, it's depreciating their beauty
and their
every time
self-esteem.
Their self-value.
Yeah.
Right. And so when they want to appreciate their self-esteem, guess what they do? They have to upload a picture that is sexually suggestive so that they can receive the same affirmation that they've been giving to somebody else.
And that they've seen that person receive because they think that's the correct way.
Exactly. And so somebody might go, well, I'm not a role model, so nobody should ever hold me accountable. Don't be on social media then. Don't be. Why are you on social media? If you're not trying to be somebody who's of influence, don't be on social media. You know what I'm saying? Put that away then. You know, influence us from wherever you make it to. But you are on social media because you want a platform on which you can influence people. So let's not lie to ourselves. And so as I was thinking about it, I was like, yes, you've got all the young, you know, sort of the middle teenager girls, okay, who are growing older. They're developing. Puberty has hit hard, okay, and not only is it charged with
emotions,
bigger private parts and all that type of stuff. It's also charged with emotions. It's charged with desires. It's charged with so many things. Now, when you put all of those things into a picture, they say a picture paints 1,000 words. How many thousands of words have you painted about sexual behavior with your pictures? How many paragraphs have you written? And the semi-older girls, and I'm talking about the girls who are 16 to 24, guess what they're watching? They're watching women maybe from in the States, in America, who do not care about your feelings when they post pictures. Nothing is too suggestive. Everything is free game. And so when our young ladies are watching this, they go, well, I want to, as they say, slay, right? Like she does. So they go and buy the fake eyelashes. They go and buy the fake hair. They go and buy the tightest dress. They go and buy the highest heels. They go and buy the best accessories. Yes? And all of this to seduce boys.
No, apparently it's to look good for themselves.
What the lies that people tell themselves to make themselves feel better.
Yeah.
You see, because anytime you're thinking about self and you prioritize self, you've already missed the whole point of being alive. Anyway, let's not go into that. Some people might be like, "Ooh, that's contestable," but you have to think about it. So, as an older sister, right, what are you doing for your younger sisters? What picture are you painting? What picture are you painting? Because these kids are growing up without the best pictures. And sometimes, you know what, I'm going to be fair here and say sometimes when the older generation gets onto these social media platforms, they too are very much into sending awful text messages. Awful picture messages. You understand?
Yeah.
You know, whether it's stories about how somebody was cheating and they got caught red-handed and somebody took a picture of that and sent it around their WhatsApp. Because all the people also have their secret networks. Every generation has its secret networks, you know.
Yep.
So they, you know, a friend will send it to another friend and say, wow, look at this. And what if your child comes across that? What are you going to say? What do you say to that? Miss Bonsu, what would you say? Imagine, I mean, God forbid, we wouldn't want to imagine any of our parents caught up in anything like that. But what would you think if your parent, you accidentally discovered that there was a sexually explicit picture on your parent's phone? Because she's maybe your parent is asking you, oh, can you just update this WhatsApp for me, saying that I should update it, right? And then you're updating, so you want to just sort of leave it back where you found it. And lo and behold, there's nakedness in the phone there. What are you going to do?
I think thankfully I'm at that age where I can, have adult conversations with my parents, but some questions will definitely have to be asked and some answers will definitely have to be given.
Right.
Because you'd expect them to be setting an example, but secretly they're not. So
So you see, and this is the thing, isn't it? So when we were saying about the older generation doing something that's provoking the younger generation, it's not unfounded, because the older generation is accessing the same power, has access to the same technologies, but are the older generation utilizing these platforms? Because say, for example, maybe your mom is wise, maybe my mom is wise, maybe my dad is wise, maybe your dad is wise, right? And everyone's fathers are wise, but they are not utilizing these platforms, okay, to engage with the young people that are on these platforms. I don't know if you get where I'm coming from. Because I do realize that there's a huge community of older people who are on Facebook. And when it comes to political issues, when it comes to anything that is very serious matters, right? Huge discussions can take off via social media about those matters. And our parents, if they're really IT savvy, will get involved. But it's about you talking to the kids, though. Because some parents wouldn't even want to allow their children to be friends with them on Facebook.
Yeah, that's true.
So how do we connect the dots? How do we bridge the generation without somebody having to break the rules and say, do you know what? As an older person, I'm going to speak to these younger people. And most preachers have broken that barrier. Okay, like the preachers of our time now have understood that if you want to get to people, you need to use IT, isn't it?
Yeah.
But not everyone has caught on to that revelation.
No, I think it's the education of our older generation. So parents need to understand, like, if I'm going to buy my child a phone, why am I buying them a phone? Is it because I need to stay in contact with them? I need to know their whereabouts and they need to be able to communicate with me? Well, if that's the case, then a normal basic phone will do. If they need to use the IT device for their homework, can I afford a computer, a laptop for that to be done on? If it's whereby that it's cheaper for the family to get a smartphone so that it can accommodate all those needs, then get the smartphone, but understand how to use the smartphone. So when the IT technician or consultant or whoever is talking to you guys about the phone, don't sit there and go, oh, don't worry, John will sort himself out. No, you need to sit there and listen.
That's right.
Okay, how do I activate parental lock? Okay, so I have control of the passwords. Right, okay. So I can, lock certain sites, certain activities. And really and truthfully, when John comes home and you've finished your homework, you finish your activities, and you're now ready to wind down, ready for bed, you do not need your phone. You do not need to take your phone into the bedroom when you're going to bed. You need an alarm system? Oh, I'll get you a watch. I'll get you a clock. Okay, we have separate activities, separate devices for a reason. Okay, and it's not to say that I don't trust you. I don't trust the other millions of people on this planet. Okay, so it's about educating the parents to know that, okay, that's the starting point. Then it's about educating the children to know, when you have this, I'm trusting you. This is a huge responsibility.
Absolutely.
Many people do not have the kind of phone you are about to be given. Do not let me down. When your parents are talking to you like that and you have a certain relationship with them,
that's right,
you're going to feel it. And when you want to drop once a month, I will check your phone. I will not tell you when I'm checking it. I will not give you advance notice. If I see anything that is remotely disrespectful, if it's remotely expletive, etc., you will be grounded. There's a consequence. You need to do spot checks. You need to have conversations with your children. You need to know what they're using. You need to tell them, how do you use this? Show me what you're doing. It's so important.
Indeed. You know what? I feel so bad because Miss Bonsu, we're literally left with 1 minute and it's like, no. We were just getting warmed up, and I get that feeling that there is so much more to talk about. So what we're going to do is we might ask you to grace us with your presence for the next time we address this issue. Yes?
Yeah.
It would be wise to do that, isn't it? We'd really appreciate your company. If you have time in your busy schedule, you can connect with us. We really appreciate it. So, that being said, we only have about 30 seconds. So I'm going to literally say, if you want to reach us, you can. You can reach me on at Mr. Vito Speaks. If you want to reach Miss Bonsu, you can at Miss Bonsu.
It's actually Miss. It's actually B_Nans. When you put Miss Bonsu, I can't find.
Oh, okay. Well, we can find her? Yes. Okay. _ B Nans. Yes. Yes. Continue. So you were saying. And yours is dear Mrs. Vito.
Yeah.
So if you want to hit us up, you can. We can continue this conversation on social media. So people, please bear in mind, we will be back here hopefully next week. And if not, we will most certainly be connected to you very soon. So Miss Bonsu, do you have anything you want to say to everyone before we check out?
Oh, I just wanted to thank everyone for tuning in today. We all really, really appreciate it, and well done, Mr. and Mrs. Vito.
All right, thank you. And Mrs. Vito, anything else you want to say?
Thank you. I love you, my tuna-inners.
Yes, indeed, tuna-inners, pay attention. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to Let's Talk About It, and we will see you on the other side. Peace and love. Let's talk about it. Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah, let's talk about it. See, you don't need to worry. We gon' learn to talk it out. See, you don't need to worry. We gon' head it on the eye. Let's talk about it. Yeah, let's talk about it. See, I don't want you to miss a day. Let's talk about it.
You are now tuned into Let's Talk About It with Mr. and Mrs. Vito on Reconcilers Radio in conjunction with OFNC 18.